AI is everywhere, right? It's woven into our lives, our businesses, but how do we know we can actually trust it? Today, we're going to take a journey from the really big ideas about AI's place in society all the way down to the nitty-gritty digital trail that's meant to keep it in check. Let's dive in. Think about it. AI is picking your next movie, it's mapping your drive to work, and it's getting more and more involved in huge decisions about our careers, even our health. So as these systems get way more powerful, you got to ask the big question, who's watching the watchdog? To even start to answer that, we have to cut through all the noise and hype. It's time to stop thinking about AI as just some cool gadget and start seeing it for what it really is, a force that is fundamentally changing our world. Yeah, this quote from Sage Publishing just nails it. AI isn't just another tool we pull out of a toolbox, it's a full-on social phenomenon. As it gets tangled up in our daily lives, it's making us have some really important and sometimes pretty tough conversations about the kind of future we're all trying to build. This brings us to a really key idea from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. It's this concept of a socio-technical system. Now, I know that sounds super academic, but it's actually a simple truth. AI doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's built by us, by people, it's trained on data that our society creates, and it operates within our social structures. And that means it can pick up on, and sometimes even crank up the volume on, the existing biases and patterns it finds in that data. And that gets us to the absolute heart of the problem. You can't just write a few lines of code and expect to fix deep, systemic issues. Without really careful, deliberate governance, these super powerful tools could actually end up making the very problems we hope they'll solve even worse. So if that's the scale of the challenge, where do you possibly begin to find a solution? Well, that's what this next section is all about. The blueprint that's being put together to build an AI we can actually trust. The first step in any good plan is to figure out what could go wrong. And this diagram from the NIST framework lays it out just perfectly. We have to think about 3 different levels of potential harm. Harm to individuals, right, like you and me, then damage to a whole organization, and finally, disruption to massive ecosystems. We're talking global financial markets or huge supply chains. So once we know the risks, then we can start to define what a good AI actually looks like. This right here is the goal. NIST lays out these characteristics of trustworthy AI. It all starts with a foundation of being valid and reliable. From there, it has to be safe, secure, explainable, private, and fair. And then, wrapping around the whole thing, is this need for accountability and transparency. Okay, so how do you actually build an AI that has all those amazing qualities? Well, NIST gives us this really powerful 4-part framework. It starts with govern. That's about creating a culture of responsibility. Then you map out your specific risks, you measure them with real metrics, and finally, you manage them. And here's the kicker. It's not a one-time checklist. It's a continuous loop. You're always doing it. And this is a really crucial point. The NIST framework isn't a law. It's not something you can get arrested for breaking. Think of it more like a voluntary playbook. It's designed to be super flexible, so any organization, from a tiny startup to a massive global company, can use it as their guide to building AI the right way.
But look, a blueprint is one thing. How does a company actually prove to its customers, to its partners, to regulators that it's actually following the plan? This is where the audit trail comes in.
This slide really shows the connection. Think of the NIST framework as the recipe for baking a secure and trustworthy cake. The SOC2 on it? That's the taste test. It's the independent inspection that provides the formal proof that you actually followed the recipe correctly. So what exactly is SOC2? Well, it's another voluntary standard, this time from the American Institute of CPAs. It's specifically designed for what are called service organizations. So think of any company that handles your data in the cloud. It's a way for them to prove they have the right controls in place for things like security and privacy. So why on earth would a company voluntarily put itself through this whole rigorous process? Well, because the business reasons are massive. It gives you a huge competitive edge because a lot of big clients just won't work with you if you're not SOC 2 compliant. It builds instant trust with customers and just shows you're serious about protecting their data. Let's look at a real-world example to make this concrete. There's a company called Aola, and they work with super sensitive voice data. They use these exact principles to make sure every single recording is locked down and protected. And like their DevOps lead says here, it's not a one-and-done check. It's a constant process of verifying to keep everything secure. And hey, if you want proof in the numbers, here it is. According to reports cited by AIOLA, nearly 3/4 of organizations saw a real, tangible increase in sales after getting SOC2 compliant. It just proves that in today's economy, trust isn't just some nice, fluffy concept, it's a powerful driver of business.
All right, we've talked about the blueprint and the proof. But now we come to the final and maybe the biggest challenge of all. How in the world do you govern a system that can think and act faster than any human possibly could?
This quote from hoop.dev just captures the problem perfectly. I mean, picture it. You've got these autonomous AI agents making critical changes to your systems at 3 in the morning. The old way of doing things, taking a few screenshots for an audit, it completely falls apart. The speed of AI just blows past the speed of human compliance. Let's just be blunt about it. The yearly manual audit is basically becoming obsolete in the age of AI. It's like trying to inspect a bullet train with a magnifying glass while it's zooming by. It just can't keep up. It's not possible. So the only way to solve an automation problem is with more automation. This is the whole concept of inline compliance. Instead of trying to check up on the AI after the fact, you build the audit trail directly into the process, in real time. Every single action, doesn't matter if it's from a person or an AI, is automatically recorded and structured as audit-ready evidence the very second it happens. So the really critical shift here is moving away from those periodic spot checks to a state of continuous assurance. The goal is to have a system where every single decision, whether it was made by a human developer or a machine agent, has a verifiable, unbroken digital trail leading right back to it. That's how you build and keep trust in a world that operates at machine speed. And this all leaves us with one final and pretty fascinating question. We're building the frameworks, we're building the audit trails to track what AI is doing, but as these systems become truly autonomous, learning, adapting, and acting all on their own, the ultimate challenge won't just be about tracking their actions, but about teaching them a sense of accountability itself. And that, my friends, is a conversation that is really just getting started.